What happens when an arrogant HOA Karen walks into Judge Judy's courtroom, calls the judge stupid to her face, and thinks she's untouchable? You're about to witness one of the most explosive courtroom meltdowns ever captured on television. This woman thought she had it all figured out until Judge Judy pulled out documents that exposed secrets she desperately wanted to keep hidden. Her face went from smug confidence to pure panic in seconds, and what came next left the entire courtroom in absolute shock. This is the kind of justice that'll make you stand up and cheer. Tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I love seeing where Inside Judy's court viewers are tuning in from around the world. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss more unbelievable cases like this one. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy the video. You know that moment when someone's about to learn the hardest lesson of their life? When arrogance meets reality in the most spectacular way possible? Well, buckle up, because what you're about to hear is one of the most satisfying courtroom takedowns in television history. Picture this: a sunny Tuesday morning in Judge Judy's courtroom. The air is thick with tension as two neighbors stand on opposite sides of a property dispute that's been brewing for months. On one side, we have Marcus Thompson, a soft-spoken IT consultant who just wants to enjoy his backyard in peace. On the other, we have Patricia Henderson, or as the neighborhood came to know her, HOA Karen. Patricia wasn't just any HOA board member. She was the HOA board member, the self-appointed queen of Maple Ridge Estates, a woman who measured her neighbor's grass with a ruler and sent violation notices if it exceeded 3.2 inches. She had that signature Karen haircut, the kind that defies gravity and common sense, and a voice that could shatter glass when she detected a rule violation. The case seemed simple enough at first. Patricia was suing Marcus for $12,000, claiming his new deck violated HOA regulations and decreased her property value. She stood there, arms crossed, chin up, radiating the kind of confidence that comes from years of getting her way through sheer persistence and middle management energy. Judge Judy, of course, had seen thousands of cases, but even she could sense this one was different. There was something in Patricia's demeanor, that particular brand of entitled smugness, that just begged to be challenged. "Ms. Henderson," Judge Judy began, flipping through the paperwork, "you're claiming Mr. Thompson's deck violates HOA rules. Do you have the specific bylaw he violated?" Patricia rolled her eyes dramatically. "Your Honor, it's obvious. The deck extends 6 inches beyond the approved property line variance. Anyone with basic intelligence could see that." The courtroom went silent. Even the bailiff raised an eyebrow. Judge Judy slowly removed her glasses, and anyone who's watched the show knows what that means. "Excuse me? Did you just question my intelligence?" Patricia, somehow missing every possible warning sign, doubled down. "I'm just saying, this is pretty straightforward. Even for someone who—" She paused, and then said it, "might not understand HOA regulations." The audience gasped. Marcus's jaw dropped. Patricia had just called Judge Judy stupid. In her own courtroom, Judge Judy's expression didn't change, but her eyes went ice cold. "Ms. Henderson, I've been a judge for longer than you've been alive. I've handled complex legal cases that would make your head spin. But please continue. Tell me more about what I don't understand." Patricia incredibly took the bait. For the next 3 minutes, she launched into a condescending explanation of property law, speaking slowly as if addressing a child. She used hand gestures. She raised her voice. She actually said, "Let me break this down for you in simple terms." The audience was in shock. Marcus looked like he wanted to disappear into the floor. And Judge Judy? She just sat there, letting Patricia dig her own grave with words. When Patricia finally finished her lecture, there was a moment of absolute silence. Then Judge Judy smiled. Not a warm smile, not a friendly smile. It was the smile of someone who's about to unleash absolute chaos. "Ms. Henderson, that was fascinating, truly. Now let me share something with you." Judge Judy picked up a document from her desk. "Before every case, I do my homework. I research the parties involved. And you, Ms. Henderson, have quite an interesting background." Patricia's face went pale. I don't know what you're talking about." "Oh, I think you do," Judge Judy continued. "Should we discuss your criminal record?" The courtroom erupted. Patricia's mouth opened and closed like a fish out of water. Marcus looked completely blindsided. Clearly, he had no idea what was coming. Your Honor, that's sealed! That's private. Patricia stammered, her confident facade crumbling like a sandcastle at high tide. Not when it's relevant to the case, Judge Judy replied coolly. And it's very relevant. You see, 8 years ago, Ms. Henderson served 6 months for insurance fraud. You filed a false claim against a neighbor, saying their tree damaged your property. Sound familiar? The pieces started falling into place. Patricia had done this before. This wasn't about HOA regulations or property values. This was a scam Judge Judy wasn't done. But wait, there's more. 5 years ago, you were investigated, though not charged, for harassment and filing frivolous lawsuits against 3 different neighbors in your previous community. In fact, that's why you moved to Maple Ridge Estates. Patricia tried to interrupt, but Judge Judy raised her hand. I'm not finished. When I looked into this current case, I found something interesting. The property line violation you're claiming? I had an independent surveyor look at Mr. Thompson's deck. It's completely within bounds. Not 6 inches over. Not even 6 millimeters over. It's perfectly legal, Marcus gasped. Wait, so all those threatening letters, the HOA fines, the cease and desist notices, all nonsense, Judge Judy confirmed. Ms. Henderson has been using her position on the HOA board to harass you, hoping you'd pay her to go away. It's called extortion, and it's illegal. Patricia's face had gone from pale to bright red. This is ridiculous. I'm a respected member of the community. I have rights. You have the right to remain silent, Judge Judy shot back, which you should have exercised about 10 minutes ago. Here's my ruling. Your case is dismissed. Not only that, you're going to pay Mr. Thompson's legal fees, which amount to $8,000. You're also going to reimburse him for every single HOA fine you've issued. That's another $4,000. And I'm ordering you to resign from the HOA board immediately. The courtroom burst into applause. Patricia looked like she might faint, but Judge Judy wasn't quite finished. She leaned forward, her voice dropping to that level of deadly calm that's somehow more terrifying than yelling. Ms. Henderson, let me give you some free advice. The next time you walk into any courtroom, remember this moment. Remember what happens when you let arrogance blind you to reality. You came in here thinking you were smarter than everyone else. You insulted me, dismissed your neighbor, and thought your little HOA title made you untouchable. But here's the truth. The law doesn't care about your attitude. Justice doesn't care about your self-importance. And I certainly don't care about your excuses. Patricia left the courtroom in tears, $12,000 poorer, and with a reputation in tatters. Marcus walked out with justice served and a smile on his face. And Judge Judy? She simply called her next case another day of keeping arrogance in check. The moral of the story? Never underestimate the person across from you. And definitely never call Judge Judy stupid in her own courtroom. Because she's not just a judge, she's Judge Judy. And she always does her homework. If you enjoyed watching Karma serve justice in real time, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to Inside Judy's Court for more incredible courtroom stories where arrogance meets its match. Drop a comment below telling us what you would have done if you were in Marcus's shoes, and we'll see you in the next case.
The clerk called her supervisor immediately. Within minutes, 2 higher officials came to view the footage. Their reactions were a mix of shock and embarrassment. They confirmed that the officer who wrote Lydia's tickets was under investigation for misconduct in other cases. It seemed Tony's friend had been helping him pull strings for months, issuing fake tickets in exchange for cash or favors. Lydia's stomach turned. The entire thing had been a scam, a small corruption scheme hiding behind city paperwork. The officials promised to suspend all Lydia's fines while they investigated, but that wasn't enough for her. She wanted full accountability. She wanted Tony to face consequences, not just lose his influence. That's when she made a bold decision. She would take her case to Judge Judy. Filing the small claims case wasn't easy. Lydia spent nights organizing her evidence, rehearsing her explanation, and replaying the footage to make sure every detail was clear. The day she received the court date, she finally felt like things were moving toward justice. When the day arrived, Lydia walked into the courtroom calm but determined. Her evidence was neatly packed in a folder. She knew the truth was on her side. But what she didn't expect was Tony's arrogance. He walked in wearing a smug grin, acting as though the entire thing was a joke. He greeted the courtroom staff with casual confidence and even laughed as he took his seat. He didn't know how much proof Lydia had. He didn't know she had his every move caught on camera. In his mind, this was going to be another situation where he could talk his way out or twist the story. He had no idea that this time his lies would crumble in front of one of the toughest judges in America. As they waited for Judge Judy to enter, Lydia sat still, hands folded in her lap. She could feel the tension in the air, the kind that comes right before the truth is exposed. Tony leaned back, whispering to his friend, confident that he could outsmart everyone again. But when the bailiff called the courtroom to order, Lydia's heart steadied. This time, she wasn't the victim anymore. She had the truth, the proof, and a judge who didn't tolerate manipulation. Whatever happened next, Lydia was ready to face it head-on. And Tony, well, he was about to learn that no matter how clever you think you are, the truth always finds its way out. From the moment Lydia's case was called, the atmosphere in the courtroom shifted. Judge Judy entered with her usual firm stride and sharp gaze, her black robe flowing as she took her seat. The audience went quiet, everyone sensing that this case was about to get interesting. Lydia sat at her podium, calm but visibly tense. Tony, on the other hand, leaned casually against his stand, trying to act confident. He had that smirk that said he thought he could talk his way out of anything. Case number 502. Lydia versus Tony, the bailiff announced. Judy looked up from the paperwork. "All right," she said in her commanding voice. "Miss Lydia, I understand you received a series of parking tickets totaling $500, and you're claiming they were falsely issued due to the defendant's actions. Is that correct?" "Yes, Your Honor," Lydia replied firmly. "All right, then let's hear your story," Judy said, folding her hands and turning her attention to Tony. But Tony was quick to jump in. "Your Honor, I just want to start by saying she's exaggerating. She parked in a restricted zone. Everyone knows that area is off-limits. I didn't do anything wrong." His tone was smug, his words rushed, as if throwing them out fast enough would make them true. Judge Judy raised one eyebrow, a look that instantly froze him in place. "Mr. Tony, you'll have your turn. Sit down and be quiet while I speak to her." The courtroom chuckled softly. Tony's grin faded. Lydia explained calmly how she had parked in the same spot for years without a problem, how the tickets began appearing suddenly, and how each one had been written at nearly the exact same time in the morning. Judge Judy listened carefully, nodding slightly as Lydia described her discovery of the fake sign and the hidden camera footage. When Lydia mentioned she had video evidence, Judy's expression sharpened. "You have footage?" she asked. "Yes, Your Honor," Lydia replied, lifting a USB drive. "Everything is here. It shows exactly what happened." "Good," Judy said. "We'll get to that shortly. But first I want to hear from Mr. Tony." Tony shifted nervously, trying to sound confident. "Your Honor, she's lying. That spot has been restricted for months. There's a sign there. She just ignores it. I took photos, see?" He handed over a small stack of printed pictures showing Lydia's car next to a no parking, tow-away zone sign. Judy took the photos, studying them silently. For a moment, Tony looked proud of himself. Then Judy squinted, frowning slightly. "Mr. Tony," she said, her tone sharp, "what time did you say these pictures were taken?" "Around 6:30 in the morning," Tony replied quickly. "Interesting," Judy said, holding one of the photos closer. "Because according to this, the shadows are pointing west. At 6:30 in the morning, the sun rises in the east. So unless the Earth changed directions overnight, these pictures were not taken when you said they were." The room erupted with quiet murmurs. Tony's face stiffened, color draining from his cheeks. He stammered, "Well, maybe the camera time was off, or maybe—" Judy interrupted sharply. "You faked these pictures just like you faked that sign." At that moment, Lydia handed the bailiff her USB drive. "Let's see this so-called video," Judy said. The screen lit up, showing grainy footage from Lydia's apartment window. The courtroom fell silent. There was Tony, clearly visible, planting the fake sign beside Lydia's car, snapping photos and making a phone call. The timestamp matched every one of Lydia's tickets. Judge Judy leaned back, her lips pursed in disbelief. "Well," she said after a long pause, "that clears things up, doesn't it?" Tony looked down at his shoes, unable to meet anyone's eyes. "Your Honor, it was just a joke," he muttered weakly. "I didn't mean for it to go this far." "A joke?" Judy's voice cut through the air like a knife. "You cost this woman $500. You humiliated her. You wasted the city's resources and lied to officials. That's not a joke, Mr. Tony, that's harassment. And let me tell you something. I don't find it funny." Tony tried to speak, but Judy wasn't done. "You had the nerve to walk in here and present fake evidence to this court. You thought you could lie your way through it. Well, guess what? You picked the wrong courtroom." The audience nodded, some even smiling in quiet satisfaction. Lydia sat motionless, relief washing over her face as Judy continued. "Here's what's going to happen," the judge declared. "You're going to reimburse Miss Lydia every penny she paid in tickets. That's $500. On top of that, you'll pay her for the time she spent dealing with your nonsense. I'm awarding her an additional $300 for stress and inconvenience." Tony's jaw dropped. $800? For what? "For being a liar," Judy shot back. "Consider it a lesson." The courtroom chuckled again, but Judy wasn't laughing. She turned to the bailiff. "And make sure a copy of that video goes to the city's parking department. They'll want to know one of their officers has been cooperating with a fraud." Tony's face went red as the realization hit him. He wasn't just losing this case. He was in serious trouble beyond this courtroom. When the gavel came down, the sound echoed through the room. Lydia finally smiled, the tension leaving her shoulders. Justice had been served, not just by the law, but by truth itself. Judge Judy glanced at Tony one last time and said, "Next time you think about playing games with someone's life, remember this moment." Case dismissed. The audience gave a quiet clap as Lydia gathered her things, her head held high. Tony sat frozen, still processing the fact that his arrogance had just destroyed him in front of everyone. When Judge Judy's gavel came down, Lydia finally allowed herself to breathe. The tension she had carried for weeks melted away, replaced by a quiet sense of relief that only true justice can bring. For months, she had been treated unfairly, accused of something she didn't do, and humiliated for simply parking her car in front of her own home. But now in this courtroom, the truth had spoken louder than all the lies. She watched as Tony sat there, red-faced and speechless, realizing his manipulations had finally caught up to him. Judge Judy didn't just stop at the verdict. She leaned forward, giving Tony one last unforgettable lecture. "You know what's funny about people who abuse the system?" she said sternly. "They think they're smarter than everyone else, until the system turns right back around and catches them. You made this woman's life miserable for no reason other than pride and pettiness. You wanted to feel powerful, but what you've earned instead is shame." Her words echoed across the room, each one hitting Tony harder than the last. He kept his eyes down, avoiding her gaze, but the damage was already done. As Lydia walked out of the courtroom, the audience's quiet applause followed her. For the first time in a long while, she felt seen and heard. She wasn't just another victim of bureaucratic carelessness. She was a symbol of how truth, patience, and persistence can overcome deceit. Her eyes welled with tears, not from sadness but from relief. The months of frustration, the endless visits to the parking office, the sleepless nights wondering if she'd ever clear her name, all of it had been worth it. In the days following the case, Lydia's story spread quickly online. Clips from the courtroom aired on television, showing the shocking footage and Judge Judy's powerful words. People were outraged at how easily someone like Tony had twisted the system, but they were also inspired by how Lydia fought back with calm and evidence, not anger. Comments flooded in, praising her strength and courage. "You did the right thing," one viewer wrote. "Never underestimate the power of truth." Meanwhile, Tony's downfall continued beyond the courtroom. The city's parking department launched an internal investigation. The officer who had issued Lydia's tickets was suspended pending review, and Tony himself was fined for falsifying city reports. Worse yet for him, his reputation in the neighborhood was destroyed. People who once ignored his arrogance now avoided him altogether. His little empire of control crumbled overnight. He had used the law as a weapon against someone innocent, and now the same law had turned on him. Lydia's life slowly returned to normal. She took down the security camera, reassured that she no longer needed it. Parking outside her apartment felt peaceful again, not like a battlefield. Each time she walked past that spot, she smiled, because it wasn't just a piece of pavement anymore. It was a reminder that justice still worked. One evening, as she drove home from another long shift, she glanced at the empty spot where Tony's car used to be. He had moved out quietly, unable to face the shame. Lydia parked, turned off the engine, and sat there for a moment, soaking in the silence. For the first time in months, there was no fear, no anger, just peace. Her story became more than just a courtroom case. It became a lesson about standing your ground when life feels unfair. A fake sign, a few tickets, a lie repeated enough times. It all could have broken her spirit. But Lydia refused to let it. She fought with truth, and truth had won. Because in the end, as Judge Judy had said so perfectly that day, people who abuse the system eventually get caught by it. And Lydia's story proved that when you stay strong, gather proof, and believe in justice, the truth always finds its way. Justice always finds its way, no matter how long it takes. For more powerful real-life stories like this, like and subscribe to HD Stories.